And we have got the King of Price deal. Like always, 2024, come see him today.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
It's 11:06 on WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vicki Sawyer and David. I'd like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4. We are streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and are we on the gram still, Bill? Not on the gram.
Not on the gram.
So that was temporary. But a new addition for the intro.
Yes. A disclaimer.
A disclaimer. So I'm going to just assume that's your fault.
Possibly.
Or Jeff McNeely's fault.
I have no idea, but anytime I think it's going to be my fault or Jeff McNeely's fault, I default to
Jeff.
Of course.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's the way it should be. I mean, this is your time.
Yes.
So obviously you default to Jeff. But disclaimer, not necessary. But honestly, does not represent the views of WSIC News,
Correct.
But really it should.
It should.
I mean, it should, because what we give is gold.
Yeah. We usually are right on target, correct? I mean, I don't hear any kind of... Yeah. We're big fans of ourselves. Just ask us.
We are, exactly. Yeah. And we're very humble about it, too. There is not I don't know of any other radio host more humble than us.
I know. Just simple servants.
Exactly. How are you doing today?
I am doing fine and excited for today's show. I'm going to try not to say anything to upset other people because we are going to do an election roundup.
Oh, yes, we are going to do a little bit of election roundup later in the show, talk about each of the races, maybe a little handicapping. Again, views expressed are simply our own, not the views of WSIC. but it's interesting. So are you election exhausted yet? Like, are you done with campaign? I mean, because campaign commercials are hot and heavy, and even for people not in our districts, like I've seen, ads for Tim Moore. I've seen ads for, on John Bradford on my team. Now, granted, it's in the greater Mecklenburg, Charlotte market and everything, but it seems like going throughout the day, it's election ad right now.
Yeah, and if you wanted to have any other reason to understand that there is early voting started yesterday, all you had to do is look down at your phone and see the mirage of text from candidates coming in. And my phone was just inundated with all of these requests for help. And it is what it is. It's the time of the season. It's the year. But I wake up every day thanking the good Lord that I am not on the ballot for the primary.
Yeah.
It is. I see my friends and what they're going through, and it is just brutal out there. And again, early voting started yesterday. So that means that you can go by any of the early voting election sites. You don't have to have a precinct or anything like that. So say, for example, if you're in Iredell County and you live in Stony Point, North Carolina, you can vote at the Mooresville early election site. So you don't have a specific or prescribed place that you have to go to vote.
Exactly. And it's funny, even on the election ads, actually one ran during the Super Bowl. I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, man, what must that one have cost?
Yeah.
I mean, now, did you watch the whole Super Bowl?
No.
You did not. Did you watch any of the Super Bowl?
I made it to halftime.
Okay, so your commitment to make yourself more knowledgeable about football and spend more time on it only made it to halftime.
So, yes.
Because you got bored or because you fell asleep?
Both.
Okay, that's fair.
Both. I just wasn't feeling it. I don't really have an emotional attachment to either one of those teams, and quite frankly, all the Taylor Swift talk gets a little old for me. And
well, she did not appear as much as people thought she would.
Okay.
On the TV.
Okay.
Because I think the over under on that was put at 6.5.
Really?
Or something like that, views of Taylor Swift during the broadcast. If I was someone who engaged in wagering, I would have probably taken the over on that. But apparently it was only 5 times she appeared, so it was on the under, which is But honestly, Kelsey didn't have that great a game, so there was only so much they could show of her. Yeah.
But talking about political advertising and spending, I did see my text went off and during the Super Bowl, and they said, "Holy cow! Representative John Bradford just had a commercial during the Super Bowl." And yes, that is a lot of money. I know it's just in our local CBS affiliate, I think, but still
the rate much higher during that. And so, but hey, I mean, got a lot of eyeballs on it. I guarantee you.
Yeah, it made my phone sing. That's the only one that I've actually seen. I was like, wow, that is impressive. And so now we see that candidates are out there, and this is do or die time. And most the election trends have shown that by the time early voting is over, the election is almost over.
It really is, because so many people have taken advantage, and I think it was the last cycle over, like, what, 56% or something of ballots had been cast during early voting during the last even numbered year election.
Yeah.
So these extended periods of early voting, which I still maintain is unconstitutional. I just believe it is.
I agree.
I think early voting is unconstitutional. Election day is election day. Vote then or don't vote, or submit your absentee. But be that as it may,
Sure.
most of the votes are cast. And again, we've talked about this before. Again, I have challenges with that because what if your candidate, like, that you voted for, all of a sudden comes out, like, which has happened in a couple of elections, has a criminal record, or has something is unearthed that they've done something horrible, and then all of a sudden, oh well, I've already cast my ballot for him. It's just like, man, it's like what's done is done. So you get some peaches who are who sometimes find themselves into public office, when really, if you'd have waited till election day, you probably wouldn't have voted for them.
So that's what was surprising about me and we're going to talk about this a little bit later in the show, about the governor's race on the Republican side, because you kept hearing two of the three candidates saying there's going to be more information that comes out about him. There's going to be another bomb drop that's going to change everybody's mind about Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. And now that political strategists would drop those bombs, but well before early voting started. And I just don't see any additional information coming out there that's going to change the hearts and minds and souls of people who are completely supporting Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson.
No, not at this point. I mean, it used to be called the October surprise, right, in a general election. And so I guess it's a February surprise for a primary. But the October surprise was you basically drop it 2 weeks out of an election or something, like before election day, and the person's scrambling on the defensive, the rest, and it's doesn't give them enough time to explain it away or for it to go from people's memories. And so, but with early voting, you got to invest. If you're going to drop the bomb, you got to drop it much, much earlier now.
So I was going, and I drive right by an early voting site by my house every day. I almost turned in yesterday to go and vote and just get it over with.
Don't you dare.
I know.
Don't you dare.
It truly said in my heart, it's like, David Coble will judge me.
Yes.
If I do this.
Come on. You got to stay strong.
I'm going to stay strong.
You cannot succumb to the early voting, the early voting trends here. It's election day. That's when we vote.
I wish there was a way that if you early voted, then you could be taken off of all mailers and text and all that other stuff. I wish there was a way that they could report back to say, I'm out. I don't want to see you anymore.
Funny enough, you say that, because right now, with a lot of the because early Board of Elections update who has voted and things like that, the text people, the mailer people and stuff like that. Sometimes it's a little difficult with mailers because they're done so much. But especially on text messages, if you show up on one of those, a lot of times you're being pulled off. You don't receive the text messages anymore because they know that you've early voted, so it's a waste of time to send it to you.
All right, I'm breaking.
No,
I'm doing it.
No, you're not.
I'm going to do it.
No,
I'm doing it. I'm going to vote.
Yes.
Go vote today, so that my text and your text messages will no longer be filled with pleas for votes, money, the most conservative. What is it? They always say.
Oh, it's the very conservative. It's always the most conservative. Yeah.
The most Second Amendment. What else is it? The most pro-life. The biggest and baddest.
I've always loved the qualifiers on there. I'm the most pro-life. Okay, is that? Aren't you like pro-life or you're not?
Yeah, I know.
It's like really, can you be the most pro-life? It's like I'm the. It never has really made a whole lot of sense to me. But don't cave, Vicky Sawyer. Stay strong.
I might cave.
You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
Stay with us. We'll have more of We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer after this short break on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the extra clouds rolling in for our Friday. Still a pretty comfortable day of weather, even though it'll be a little gray at times. Upper 50s to near 60 to round out the work week. Heading into the weekend, quick little system moves by late tonight through early tomorrow morning. May give us a sprinkle or an isolated shower, mostly before sunrise. The weekend in good shape, going to stay dry, but it will be cooler. High temperatures around 50 for Saturday and Sunday, but we're heading for a warm-up again and staying dry going into next week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Merlefest is back, April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College. featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Enjoy barbecue, beers, and bikes? Come by Mac's Speed Shop every Thursday and Saturday now through April 13th for live music and great food. MacSpeedShop.com. Want to attend the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd through the 25th. Looking to play some trivia with your four-legged friends Monday nights? Lucky Dog Bark and Brew has you covered. Trivia night, Mondays from 7 to 9. LuckyDogBarkandBrew.com. After selling out 2 performances last year at Kane Center for the Arts, Forever Young is back. Follow the unforgettable group of friends as they discover the greatest hits of all time. Forever Young, Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, February 16th, kanearts.org. That's CAINarts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Call now to speak with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer at 844-STUDIO-4. It's We're Just Saying on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of our show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and all points in between. We do actually have a caller here on We're Just Saying to start the next segment off. Hi, you're on with Senator Sawyer. Good morning.
Hello.
Hey.
Yes, sir. How are you today?
Hey, this is John and Cindy Taylor.
Oh, yes. Hi. Hello.
Hi. We're in the parking lot of your church right now, waiting for the lunch.
Oh, very good. Well, hopefully, I know they'll feed you well.
I love a church lunch.
I do too.
They do.
They always have the best desserts.
Yes, they do.
So, what is on your mind, John and Cindy?
Well, I resonate with what you're saying about the primaries and how ugly they are. And one of my pet peeves is these PACs that claim to endorse a conservative candidate. Well, why don't they wait until the general election? Why do they have to endorse somebody now?
Mm-hmm.
Let us pick our own conservative, Dad Burnett, is the way I feel.
Mm-hmm. You got the Dad Burnett in there. I like it.
Hey, no, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, John, thank you for calling, and we'll go take that. Go ahead.
I could have used some more salty Marine Corps language, but I decided not to.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. But we do have radio professionals here. We could bleep you out very quickly. But John and Cindy, thank you so much. And we will go ahead and take your question off the air. On the air, but let's say goodbye to you right now. Did I say that?
No,
radio
you
professionals,
I butchered
every
last bit of it. John, thank you for the call.
Thank
but
you.
No, John raises a good point, right? And I mean, the money in politics is huge and everything like that. And I think what we have seen, and you and I have talked about this before, is when we're talking about in primary time, right? There are most Republicans agree probably on 98.8% of the things. That 1.2%, though, in the primary is where the differentiation begins to occur. And there are, special interest PACs and stuff like that who have very specific focuses, Americans for Prosperity, very big into endorsing Republican candidates. Club for Growth, very very invested in Republican candidates, but they're diametrically opposed in several of their views. And so they put the money and they invest in it. And I mean, and that's just, kind of the nature of the beast of what we find when you're playing in a primary.
Yeah, I agree. I've said before, I'm not really a big fan of that, and I wish we could limit some of those influences. But then you realize that these PACs are actually people. Corporations are looked at as individuals, and there are things that I'm involved with a bunch of different folks as far as, my friends get together, we have a common interest. If you are like that and you decide to set up your own pack, your own group to influence or persuade elections, and you raise money on that and you do, it's kind of the way the system works right now. And so I completely understand letting other, wanting to have only local influence decide those elections, but unfortunately, it's just not the way the game is played right now.
No, definitely not. But it is. But I do have to say though, back to the church lunch thing.
Yes.
Like I love a good fellowship hall lunch.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like because there's always going to be like fantastic macaroni and cheese. There's always going to be a fantastic, fried chicken, and the desserts are just going to be money.
All about the desserts for me.
Oh yeah.
When the women's circles get together and make those desserts, holy moly! I mean, I go to the dessert table first, to be honest with you.
Well, and I have been known to do that myself.
Yeah.
And so I love it. So why aren't we going to your church for lunch today?
I don't know. We should. We absolutely should be.
If they're in the parking lot now, everything's going to be done by the time we can get up
going to
there.
probably have to go to church to pray for forgiveness on this next couple segments, because we are going to handicap the statewide races for you. Go down through and I'm going to try to give you both perspectives on each candidate. So to help you to choose which ones you want to vote for. The reason I'm doing that is because my phone, again, is folks are saying, I don't know who the state auditor is, or who are you going to support for treasurer, or what about superintendent, and those type of things. So let's kind of look at our ballots, David. And,
okay.
And I'm going to try to be the impartial purveyor of information.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah,
All
I know.
Right? Good luck with that. So first and foremost, obviously the headlining state or office is obviously governor.
Yes.
We have got 3 candidates. We've got Dale Falwell, current North Carolina treasurer, Bill Graham, or auditor. Treasurer.
He is treasurer.
He is treasurer. That's right. He's treasurer.
Yeah.
Dale Falwell, who's the current treasurer, Bill Graham, who is a candidate, who's an attorney, and Mark Robinson, the current lieutenant governor. So, Senator Vicky Sawyer, in your estimation, how would you size this race up?
Well, I don't really need to size anything up, because it's clear that the polling shows that Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is the strong front runner.
Oh, yeah.
And they have thrown everything but the kitchen sink at him. And a lot of those are words that he used in the past that are very polarizing, especially in the general election, where we're going to have a really close race, and probably the marquee race of the entire United States for governors. I mean, this one's going to be, talk about outside money and PACs. It's going to just be pouring in. I've heard that this race is going to cost, in the hundreds of millions of dollar race for a governorship. And so this is very important. I think that's what you're hearing from the 2 challengers to Mark Robinson, being Bill Graham and Dale Falwell. Now, Bill Graham is local in far as he is from the Salisbury area. And I met him first when he was asking to be appointed as a senator, when we had a retiring senator in our area. Andrew Brock had stepped down to take a position, is at the Industrial Commission, I believe. And so Bill Graham, had met him during that process, and he, of course, it wasn't successful during that, but he does have a handicap down east. Now, he is a trial attorney and personal injury attorney, and so just as an insurance agent, we tend not to like one another. It's kind of like Wile E. Coyote.
Natural rivalry, yeah.
There's got to be a natural, rivalry. But his firm was one that went after and attacked a lot of the farming communities, especially hog farms in eastern North Carolina. So when I've been down there recently and his name comes up, it does not.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking back to when you did on your tour in your swine farms.
My swine farms, yes, I know.
Anytime this comes up, I'm always going to harken back to your swine farm.
I know.
But anyway, sorry, I digress.
A girl tried to learn. I was just trying to expand my horizons, and I said the correct but inappropriate word at the right time. So even if in the fall, if Bill Graham were to somehow come out of this, I see that he would have a huge liability in the East. I don't think that, some of the words that I heard from the farmer friends that I know, there was a dead body in step and all this other stuff kind of put around there. Now, the interesting and probably the most qualified of all of the 3 candidates as far as what is going on as state governor is current treasurer Dale Falwell. He has been steadfast when he was in the House. He was a strong leader there. He's been a strong treasurer for us. He is not afraid of a prop. I don't know if you've ever seen him talk in public, but he will have a boot, or he'll have some sort of, I don't know. He always has a prop, and he does a really good job. And he is very, very thorough. However, his message just really hasn't gotten through. Mark Robinson is like the big, the biggest, I guess, name and naming recognition and those kind of folks. So Dale Falwell does have the support of the state employees. And so that's a big endorsement, especially down east. So we'll see how it goes through. But all the polling shows, Dale at the very bottom, maybe Bill at 9%. Then Mark Robinson is just through the roof.
Yeah, like well into the 40s in some polls,
Yeah.
around 50. So yeah, that I mean, I shared. I think you handicapped that pretty accurately. Again, the only they like to say the only poll that matters is the one on election day. But if things hold true to what they are right now, obviously Mark Robinson will be the Republican candidate. Next is Lieutenant Governor, where obviously people running to replace Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson.
Yes.
I think we have 11 candidates.
A lot of candidates.
A lot of candidates in there, and so we've got Rivera Dothit, and I'm sure
which is local to Mooresville.
Yes, is
which I had not met her until recently, but yeah.
We've got Jeffrey Elmore, we've got Marlenis Hernandez Novoa, Alan Mashburn, Jim O'Neill, Sam Page, Ernest Reeves, Hal Weatherman, Seth Woodall, Deanna Ballard, and Peter Boykin.
Yes.
And so I think probably the names most people are probably hearing the most are Hal Weatherman, Deanna Ballard, and probably some Jim O'Neill as well, don't you think?
Yeah, Seth Woodall and Jeffrey Elmore. So these are all really good candidates. So I'm not one or the other, but just kind of give you an idea who they are. Now, most folks, especially if you've attended Republican Party meetings in the past, know Hal Weatherman.
Yes.
He has been and was the campaign manager and worked with Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest during both of his elections for that. And he started early. I mean, he was out there early making and crisscrossing the state. And so he is someone that has probably a lot of name ID with the grassroots. But it just seems like he hit a plateau and hasn't moved past that. Like he just hasn't got it. But maybe that's just the function of having 11 people on the ballot, right? And it's just a crowded race. Now, former Senator Deanna Ballard, who was also a guest on our radio show, now she has been one that's up in the polling. I've seen her doing some good stuff. Now, remember, she was is really focused on educational issues, and she was the one who led a lot of our anti-COVID legislation during that time, especially when it had to do with schools and reopening schools. And she, I think, and also with the Parents' Bill of Rights, of all of the candidates, I think she's probably the one who in the fall will be able to run strong against Rachel Hunt. Now, remember, Rachel Hunt is a current senator now, former governor's daughter, who's going to have the fundraising advantage and is going to be really strong. Actually, I like Rachel. I've served with her. She's pleasant to be around. Unfortunately, she just has the wrong letter behind her name. And so, I think when I look towards the fall, I need to see someone who can run toe-to-toe with Rachel in that race, and that would probably be Deanna. That would be Deanna Ballard for that. And then moving forward, now a well-funded candidate that I don't know as much about is a Seth Woodall. So I've seen his text come through. It seems like he's an attorney, put over $1 million of his own money. He's got great advertising and stuff. I just don't know him that well, but it sounds like he has a professional acumen that's good. And also someone who's been on our radio show who I really like as a person, Representative Jeffrey Elmore. He again was right there on the other side of the General Assembly in the House during the anti-COVID stuff, and he was the one who is a current teacher and also who understands education and for the subject matter can run toe-to-toe with Rachel Hunt in the fall. I just kind of like the optics at the top of the ticket of having the first Black Republican governor, and then also the first female. No, not the first, because sorry, there was another one before that. But a female in the lieutenant governor spot.
Yeah. And with so many candidates, highly likely that goes to a runoff anyway.
Yeah, probably so.
Tough to get anybody over 30%.
There's more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on the way from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the extra clouds rolling in for our Friday. Still a pretty comfortable day of weather, even though it'll be a little gray at times. Upper 50s to near 60 to round out the work week. Heading into the weekend, quick little system moves by late tonight through early tomorrow morning. May give us a sprinkle or an isolated shower, mostly before sunrise. The weekend in good shape, going to stay dry, but it will be cooler. High temperatures around 50 for Saturday and Sunday, but we're heading for a warm-up again and staying dry going into next week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Johnson's Parts and Supply, your Auto Plus Auto Parts store for 42 years, carries a full line of Wix filters for cars, trucks, and all types of heavy-duty equipment. Johnson's Auto Parts, your Auto Plus Auto Parts store, 1112 Shelton Avenue, Statesville.
In life, we plan for many important things. Weddings, our children's education, retirement. A celebration of life is really no different. Planning and paying for your life celebration in advance will give you and your family valuable peace of mind. We'll help you take care of every detail with professionalism and compassion. We're Bunch Johnson Funeral Home. Find us at DignityMemorial.com.
Grow in your faith with biblical teaching from the Word of God. Listen to Pastor Steve Pope from Calvary Baptist Church, Sunday mornings at 9 here on News Talk WSIC, or listen on demand at WSICnews.com.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. So how are you feeling? The answer to that question, economically speaking, apparently is better. The latest University of Michigan consumer sentiment reading shows the third monthly increase to the highest in 2.5 years. Another inflation report, though, coming in too hot, is pouring fresh water on Wall Street's embers today. Stocks down. Dow and S&P losing 0.25%, NASDAQ down 0.5%. The latest reading of U.S. producer inflation, which measures changes in prices paid to those who sell goods and services, jumped 0.3% in January from the month before and 0.9% from the year before, both numbers bigger than forecast. That's pulling on stocks as traders see yet more fodder for the argument that the Fed ought to wait longer to cut interest rates. Ironically, a big source of the producer price increase now hurting Wall Street was caused by Wall Street's rally late last year and into this one, as demand increased for portfolio management and investment advice, prompting prices for those services to jump 5%. Andrew O'Day, Bloomberg Radio.
Call now to speak with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer at 844-STUDIO-4. It's We're Just Saying on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Glad to be part of our show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are still streaming live on social media, YouTube, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn. So we left off with the lieutenant governor's race. You went a little long, and so I was not able to give our standard close out there. But what we were saying was how probably that probably very likely that race goes to a runoff. Tough to get over 30%.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, if a candidate does not get over 30%, that does go to a runoff. So high likelihood, I think we see one there. But moving into the North Carolina auditor now, we're starting to get into the races that a lot of people sometimes don't pay a ton of attention to.
Right.
And so for the auditor, we have about 6 candidates, I think. So we've got Charles. Is it Dingy?
No clue.
Okay. Anyway, we're going to go with that. Charles Dingy, Jim Key, Anthony Wayne Street, Jeff Tart, Dave Bullock, and Jack Clark. Yeah. So, of all the names in there, Jeff Tart, probably the one that's most familiar to the people in our listening audience, has served this area a couple of different times. But how would you handicap that race?
Well, that's going to be the top 2, I think, in that race are going to be Jeff Tart and Dave Bullock. Jeff Tart is a resident of Cornelius, and he one of the smartest people I've ever met. He's just gets things quickly and is able to articulate himself well and can get down to the numbers and understands politics because he's a former senator, so he knows how the building works. And I think any of these races, it is so important for these council estate folks to understand how the building works. In other words, how do you get along with legislators? How does a law get passed? Like, not just what you read on paper, but what you understand with personalities. And that's a big deal. A lot of this is a relationship business and personality business. And that's important. And, to go back to the second candidate I want to highlight is Dave Bullock. He also has that similar acumen. He serves on the UNC Board of Trustees, and he is an attorney. He's been politically involved for a while behind the scenes. So he has a lot of fans and friends around North Carolina, especially in Eastern North Carolina. I think it's a name that you'll see. He's very well funded. He's raised a lot of money in his campaign. And he's someone that would be, a good candidate if you should choose him. So between him and Jeff Tart, I think those are probably the top 2 candidates. Very nice.
We do have a caller here on We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. Hi, William. You're on with Senator Sawyer.
Good morning to you good people. How are y'all?
Good, sir. How are you?
Pretty good. I got a question on the early voting. When do you guys know when they actually created that, started that? I know it's been a while.
I don't off the top of my head.
I don't remember. No, I do not.
I think one reason I like your theory, David, go the day of, because everybody knows what the deal is that's involved in politics and, researches their candidates and makes their choices and whatnot. So they know every, 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, whatever it is, the day of. And if you have to lay out of work, the people that work that are voters, if you have to lay out of work to go do it. But one early stage of voting is, I guess, for like the military, perhaps, when they were going to be out of country or whatever, they had to, maybe that was one way they created that early voting. But we all seen what happened in 2020, and I think that may have been one theory as to why we had some confusion in early voting and ballots not getting counted and so forth and so on.
Yeah, no, 100%. And thank you for the call, William. I think that, and I would just like to point out that William is the first caller ever into this show that said he agreed with something that I had said. Everybody else that calls us says, "Oh, Vicky, I think you're right. Vicky, I think you're lovely. Vicky, you're just so amazing, blah, blah, blah." And I just sit over here in the cold. William, thank you for finally acknowledging my contribution to the show. I appreciate you very much.
I've done both.
No, don't hedge, William.
I'm guilty of it.
You're my guy, William.
I've done both.
Don't hedge, William. You're my guy. Thanks for calling, brother.
All right, y'all take care.
Thank you. Thank you. So we're going to move on down because I want to make sure that we get through a few of these others.
I think we can go pretty quick through the North Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture.
Yeah.
Colby Bear Hammonds against Steve Troxler. Steve Troxler's going to win that going away. I mean,
the incumbent does a good job.
He's an incumbent, does a good job. He's a machine at this and in these elections, very well thought of. For Commissioner of Insurance, we've got Andrew Marcus, C. Robert Brawley, who some folks might be familiar with from our area, served as a House representative here, and Mike Causey.
Yeah. So we've talked about this race on the show before, so I'm just going to gloss over it. For me, it's either between Mike Causey or Andrew Marcus. Mike Causey has a name ID and has a record as the current insurance commissioner. Andrew Marcus is someone that I respect professionally because he knows and understands the game, and I think we need someone with a professional acumen at the top who understands how to keep insurance rates through regulatory means instead of just through political battles. So those are kind of the two there. Now, this next race, the North Carolina Labor Commissioner, for me, is a complete toss-up. So you have Luke Farley, who's been on the show before, and he is actually a lawyer that represents small businesses against the Labor Commission. That's attractive for me because I like the fact that he understands the business of how regulations can really hurt, especially like OSHA regulations, which he doesn't have control over, but a lot of these other things that come out through the labor that can hurt small business. So I really like that part of the fact. And you like the fact that the elevator lady, Sherry Berry, Cherie,
yes,
has endorsed him.
I do what the elevator lady says.
Yes, and he does have a red hat that says make elevators great again. I get it. He's hitting it on. But also to the point I just made earlier about other folks who are top of the ticket or on these state races, John Hardister. Now, John Hardister is a current House rep out of the Greensboro Triad area, and he understands how the building works, and he really does have a good reputation among lawmakers. And so as far as someone who's going to be the head of one of the Council of States, it is important that they know and have those relationships in the General Assembly, because even though that's an executive branch function of being at the Council of State, we make the laws that affect them. So for me, this one's a really big toss-up. I'm not sure which one's going to happen there. Both are strong candidates, and so I wish I could handicap that one for you, but I just can't.
Yeah, no,
I don't know what's going to
definitely.
happen. Secretary of State.
Secretary of State.
So yeah, Secretary of State. For me, there's a lot there. There's a lot of folks who are running on this one. The three names that is this the one? Yeah. Anyways, the three names that I keep hearing. One that's local to our area is Chad Brown. A lot of us had met him before because he had ran before. He's strong. He's got a lot of friends in the legislature now. And I've seen, good things and heard really good things about him. I think he'll probably be one of the, ones at the top of the ticket. I really like this candidate, Jesse Thomas. I haven't met him before, but he just looks very impressive. He's a retired health plan CEO. And they're not a career politician. Everybody says, I'm not a career politician. I'm like, oh my gosh, does that make me bad? But he actually recently published in a short self-help book about finance, peace of mind. I like the way he had mentioned that, but also I do have to say one thing. He sent out a text saying that he was going to do something that totally didn't have anything to do with his office. So for me, I'm like, maybe that's probably not him. That's probably a political advisor that sent that out. Probably. But I was like, that's probably not that great. Christine Villadervi, I think she's got a strong background too. She's military and law enforcement. I've heard her speak. She's very charismatic on the stump. I think that she's probably has a really good future in politics. I don't know that she's going to be able to break that top market on this one right now.
Yeah, sometimes that can be tough. And just for if William is still listening, our crack research staff here at We're Just Saying sent us over that early voting actually began in 1977.
Really?
Yes. So thank you to Senator Jim Perry, whom we also employ as a as a researcher for our show, seeing that in coincidentally the year I was born. So my disdain for early voting, obviously, there must be an underlying root cause there since it started the year I was born.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you for listening. But again, he always has the answers, I guess, is what he's trying to say.
Well, yeah, that's right. I take it. That's what I would take. Yeah, from that. Absolutely. But hey, we appreciate the answer.
Now, this one I'm kind of really close to. And so this is probably one that I do not want to get in trouble over, but I'm just going to go ahead and get in trouble over it.
Uh-oh.
Superintendent of Public Instruction.
Yes.
Okay. So we have two candidates there. One is Catherine Truitt, who's the current superintendent. I will say that her office has been so helpful for me in many things, especially with the High School Athletic Association. That was a very thorny issue that she had to navigate through. And really, when I found my admiration for her and her staff was through that, because even though she has to work with those folks who are the board. They were really strong and helped me navigate that very, very difficult topic. So I just really formed a great working relationship with that office and with Superintendent Truitt beginning of that. But then I saw her work with the Parents' Bill of Rights and really trying to make sure that we had all the information we needed from DPI in order to move forward. She came in and actually articulately presented about that. And she also was one of the strongest supporters, and I will say one of my handholders about the women's in sports legislation. You know, she has several highly competitive, I think one of her daughters even is playing at a college level sport. So she has personal history with women's sports, and she was very open and advocate and helped us craft the legislation and worked for us to get it through the General Assembly, even including the college level stuff. So she, to me, is the strongest and most qualified person for this position. So now on the opposite side, we have a lady who is named Michelle Marlowe, and she has gained a little bit of traction because she's a muckraker. And quite frankly, I would have taken her a lot more seriously if I hadn't seen just blatant and outright lies that she's been telling about Superintendent Truitt. So I try to stay fair on both sides of these things. And sorry, this one I'm going to put my thumb on the scale for Superintendent Truitt, but I just have no patience for someone who lies purposefully to deceive voters about the character and the work that Catherine Truitt has done to make our state move forward. So for me, it's all Catherine Truitt.
Yeah, no, 100%. I couldn't agree more. In the last couple of seconds, we got Treasurer AJ Dowd, Rachel Johnson, and Brad Briner.
Yeah, the top runner on that one is going to be Brad Briner. He's just very professionally, he's an investment advisor, and that is the position that where you need to manage the state's investments that makes sure that all state employees have a retirement to go home to. So that is, for me, he's just professionally good. Although I do want to give AJ Dowd a shout out. He and I had a primary against one another, and he always was very kind when we were doing that primary.
Yeah, absolutely. You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
There's more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on the way from 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Well, the extra clouds rolling in for our Friday. Still a pretty comfortable day of weather, even though it'll be a little gray at times. Upper 50s to near 60 to round out the work week. Heading into the weekend, quick little system moves by late tonight through early tomorrow morning. may give us a sprinkle or an isolated shower, mostly before sunrise. The weekend in good shape, going to stay dry, but it will be cooler. High temperatures around 50 for Saturday and Sunday, but we're heading for a warm-up again and staying dry going into next week. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Merlefest is back, April 25th through the 28th at Wilkes Community College, featuring nearly 100 performers, including Old Crow Medicine Show, Turnpike Troubadours, the Teskey Brothers, Nickel Creek, and more. Tickets and information at merlefest.org. Listen each morning to Good Morning LKN for your chance to win tickets. Enjoy barbecue, beers, and bikes? Come by Mac's Speed Shop every Thursday and Saturday now through April 13th for live music and great food. MacSpeedShop.com. Want to attend the Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show? Throughout the day, you have your chance to win tickets. Listen to Good Morning LKN, the Home Ad Show, the News Drive at 5, and the Scoreboard. Each show gives you your chance to win. The Charlotte Home and Remodeling Show, February 23rd through the 25th. Looking to play some trivia with your four-legged friends Monday nights? Lucky Dog Bark and Brew has you covered. Trivia night, Mondays from 7 to 9. LuckyDogBarkandBrew.com. After selling out 2 performances last year at Kane Center for the Arts, Forever Young is back. Follow the unforgettable group of friends as they discover the greatest hits of all time. Forever Young, Kane Center for the Arts, Friday, February 16th, kanearts.org. That's CAINarts.org. Have an event you would like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Now more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying. This is Senator Vicky Sawyer flying solo here. David had to go to do some family duties with his daughter, so we wish him well. But I am not alone because I do have a candidate for North Carolina Senate on the other line. Her name is Nancy Meek. That's not with an S, Meek. And she is a candidate out of the Hickory area for an open seat, which means there's no incumbent, to represent that area in the North Carolina Senate in the fall. She is a longstanding Republican and dedicated her life to serving her community. She has a career of service that includes a chair of the Hickory Public School Boards of Education. She's worked as a congressional aide, president of the Catawba County Republican Women's Club, and as a coordinator for the North Carolina National Guard Family Assistance Program. Nancy, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Senator Sawyer. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, I want to say thank you for taking some time because I know you are currently out at polling locations at early voting, greeting voters. Has it been busy out there? How's it been going?
Well, actually, it's been not quite as busy today as it was yesterday, but every vote counts, and so it's important for everybody to come out and do your civic duty.
Great. Well, good deal. Now, Nancy, tell us a little bit about yourself and the Senate district that you hope to represent.
All right. I'd love to do that. The Senate District 45 is all of Catawba County and most of Caldwell County. So it's a pretty diverse Senate seat. We have lakes, foothills, and the mountains. We have factories. We have tech companies, and we have lots of agriculture. But all in all, we have great people that I'm excited to have the opportunity to work with.
Very good. And so now I know you have a long history of serving your community. What made you decide that you wanted to serve them in this capacity and put your name on the ballot?
Well, actually, the current Senator Dean Proctor, and I have known each other for many years outside of politics, and it was my legacy of service, my family's legacy of service, that is one of the things that he says that he wanted to see continued. He knows that I have a servant's heart, and that I have given back to multiple civic organizations. And of course, for my family, our service, we're the things that we're trained first in is serving our church, serving our Lord. And I've been a lay reader, I've been a chalice bearer, altar guild, lots of different things within my church. And then, that legacy continues both sides of my family. On my dad's side, he and his granddad, and my granddad, and my great grandfather were all businessmen and volunteer firemen. So we have that legacy as well. And my husband is retired from the Army, active duty, North Carolina National Guard, and the reserves. Our sons still serve. Our oldest was active duty, who has now transitioned to the reserves. And our youngest son is still active duty Air Force. So we believe in that service, and we don't just talk about it, we actually do it.
Wow, that is an impressive family history. That is amazing, and thank you for your family for all of their service that they do. And one of the things that you served in the community, and I know it's very important to understand inside and out at the state legislature, is education. Right? You were one of the school boards or a school board chair, and were on the school board for quite some time.
Yes, I served on the Hickory Public Schools Board of Education for 11 years, over half as vice chairman and chairman. So I understand the importance. My mother was a school social worker. There is so much to be said. North Carolina has a strong legacy of public education, but we also understand that parents have the right to educate their children. And I was very much instrumental in making sure that the Hickory Public Schools always gave the parents the right to opt in or out of whatever they felt best for their children.
Very good.
And I continue to believe in that.
Very good. Yes, you'll see. Well, good. That means you'll fit right in the Senate. Now, just you have the local experience for the school board, but you also have a little bit of a congressional or federal experience as well in service. Tell us about your time as a congressional aide and who you worked with.
Yes, I started my congressional tenure with Congressman Cass Ballinger. Cass and Donna and my husband and I all went to the same church, and I love the fact that he was always home, always with folks, and he was something that when I was president of the Women's Club and things of that sort, an opening came available at his office, and it seemed the perfect thing. The office itself was between my older son's high school, my younger son's middle school, and I said, I'm not really looking for anything full-time, and he knew that our sons. He said, the boys are always welcome at the office. And so that gave me the family atmosphere to be able to say, this is something I want to do. This is a different way for me to serve. And right now, with Congressman McHenry, I have been with him his entire tenure, and I have two dual roles really there. I have the security director, which means I work with law enforcement and EMS to keep not only the congressman and his family safe, but also the offices and the staff so that constituents feel free to interact with the congressman and the staff. I also work with over 30 federal agencies to be a liaison between citizens and those agencies. And of course, many times when you call into an office and you're frustrated and you're looking for help, you're not sure really whether it's a state matter or it's a federal matter. And that's one of the things that I discern. And we've had the pleasure to work with your office over the years, helping constituents to be able to navigate whether it's a state matter, or it's a federal matter, or a little bit of both sometimes.
Yeah.
But
well, I'm gonna surprise you.
What we try to do is ease that burden on the citizens.
Yes, that is so important to know who to call and when, so that you can be an effective representative or conduit of information for those your citizens or the citizens in the district. But I'm gonna surprise you with something. I put out on X that you are going to be on our radio show today, and I got the kindest message about a former coworker with you, and I'm going to read it to you because I thought it was just the most glowing thing. I didn't call and ask him for permission. So I'm not going to say who sent it, but it was so kind. He said, I just saw your ex post about Nancy Meek and wanted to say thank you for helping her. She had just joined the Ballinger staff when I did as well. She constantly impressed me with her work ethic, her subject matter knowledge, and most of all, her commitment to do what was right. I have complete confidence with her in what she'll do an outstanding job in the North Carolina Senate. And I just thought that was beautifully written, and it obviously came from the heart. So you have a fan club from your service and time that you're doing, but you also have a fan club in me because you are very strong. That's good. Well, you deserve it. Hey, you also have something I want you to touch on because we only have 4 minutes left on the show. But one major part of your life is that you're a licensed firearm instructor, or tell me about your history with instruction in firearms and your Second Amendment stands.
Sure. I've got a A rating from the NRA, and one of the reasons probably is because I'm a North Carolina hunter safety instructor. I'm a hunter myself. I'm an NRA certified pistol instructor as well as chief range safety officer, which means I have the ability to teach other range safety officers. I'm a 3-term and first female president of the Catawba Valley Wildlife Club, which is one of the oldest and largest shooting sports clubs in North Carolina. I've also been a clinic director for Women on Target, helping teach women about firearms in a safe, small area so that they understand what is truly the importance of firearm safety and how firearms work without all the political rhetoric.
That is impressive, and something that I know that it would be very valuable for me in the General Assembly. One of our fundraisers, or not fundraisers, one of our get-togethers for the women group, and I was going to do Republican women and Democrat women together, and take them shooting. Right, but I don't have the professional acumen that you do, so you would fit right in, and we could actually make that work.
Absolutely, we can make that happen. Not a problem.
Well, that is
I love teaching.
Yeah, well, no, that's good to hear. You can tell it and hear it in your voice. Now, just with the few minutes that we have left, Nancy, tell the voters of Hickory and Hickory area why you are the best choice, and then also tell the folks who are outside of the area who really like what they've heard today, how they can support your campaign and to learn more about you.
Well, first of all, I would suggest my website, which is Nancy Meek for ncsenate.com. Nancy Meek for ncsenate.com. It all runs together. It's sort of long, but it does sort of sum it up. And it has my stances on different areas of issues that may come before the Senate, as well as a little bit about myself and my family. But I am a tried and true conservative. I believe in our family. I believe in education. I believe in protecting our natural resources. I believe in educating our future workforce. And I want to guard our quality of life and honor our veterans.
Well said. Thank you. Nancy Meek, thank you so much for giving us a call today. Good luck out there at the long, early voting season. And I wish you health and happiness during that because it's not easy.
Thank you so much. And I sure do appreciate the opportunity to be before you. And hope I get the chance to work with you in the Senate. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you. And guys, just in the last 20 seconds, I know I waited to the very end, my rated X segment, and here it is. On a post that we said that we're just saying, we talked to Punxsutawney Phil's weather and predictions and just, bragging about the show and asking people to listen. We did have one fella, JRT 1971. He said our next segment needs to be called X for ex-legislator. Well, I am here with you, and I'm not ex or your ex-legislator. I'm your current senator, and I'm grateful for the show today. Thank you for all who listened, and we hope to see you next week.
WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.